His presidential ambition has come to an end. There's no ambition anymore. It's just a matter of finishing the term. Maliza uende. If at all he will get there. Yeah. About being elected, that is a dream. It's impossible. It cannot happen. Even in a dream. I don't even think there's any Kenyan who has dreamed that Ruto was re-elected. He cannot be re-elected. Uhuru is guilty for the past atrocities, for which he should also be called to answer. And nothing has stopped William Ruto today from opening up inquiries to Uhuru Kenyatta. And if there are culpabilities, they should charge him. Charge him today. Why are they not charging him? So he's even guilty of aiding and abetting. They are aware of the atrocities that Uhuru Kenyatta committed, and they have taken no action about it. That is what we call aiding and abetting an offense. It doesn't make Uhuru Kenyatta any innocent. Neither does it make William Ruto to be a saint. He is still a sinner.
Well, a very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evans Okinye, and I'm always glad to bring you up to date with comprehensive analysis of all that is taking place in this country and across the borders. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon, and I'm joined by the Deputy Party Leader of Sabina Party, and of course, a constitutional lawyer and a governance expert here, Wakili Uweli Sotieno. Wakili, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm quite okay.
Yes.
It's very good that at least for the first time we are having a show in the afternoon. But something strange is happening in the country, and ever since we thought that things would be actually slowing down, but it's like the level of political intolerance within is not getting down anytime soon. We've witnessed what has taken place in Molo and the aftermath therein. There is also what took place at the function that was held by the former second lady, of course, Rigathi Gachagua in Central, where we saw the likes of Maina and Chege actually storm that particular meeting, and of course the former second lady decided to leave. I wonder what you make of all these things that are actually happening at this point in time, because it's like the government is not slowing down anytime soon.
You know, first and foremost, I pass my condolences to the family of Richard Otieno.
Yes.
That was a true Kenyan patriot who was championing for good governance. And we must learn a very vital lesson from Richard Otieno. Richard Otieno, despite being a Luo, was very active in Molo, agitating for issues that affect Kenyans, not Luos, his tribesmen. And you noticed even yesterday, the people who came out to demonstrate and to demand for justice for Richard were largely people from the Kikuyu community. So it tells you that our problems are not tribal. Our problems are national. And politicians should not use tribe as a basis to divide us. You've noticed even the conversation that was in Bungoma, where Ruto was yesterday. This tall MP, Wanyama, standing up to say that we are going to isolate the mountain. And he has no regrets to say that we are going to unite the rest of the country against Mount Kenya, trying to imply that the problems of Kenyans are Kikuyus. Kikuyus are not our problem. Our problem is the failures of Kenya Kwanza, led by William Ruto. Kikuyus have nothing to do with the shift share. They have nothing to do with the university funding model. They have nothing to do with the cost of living. They have nothing to do with the odious debt that William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta took, and William Ruto is still taking. Kikuyus have nothing to do with the dilapidated infrastructure in this country. Kikuyus have nothing to do with the joblessness that the Kenyan people are facing. Kikuyus have nothing to do with the total despair that everybody is witnessing in this country. So our problem cannot be Kikuyu. Our problem are the failures of a regime. And the Kenyan people, those who are woke, should be able to reject this gaslighting by Kenya Kwanza and William Ruto. Those Kikuyus who voted for him in 2022, they knew he was not a Kikuyu, but they still voted for him. Why are they trying now to make Kikuyu the problem? It is not. And Richard Otieno is a true embodiment of a Kenyan who believes that at the end of the day, tribe is just but artificial barriers that have been exploited by politicians to divide us. Our problems are not our tribes. Our problems are national. And when it comes to selecting a leader or electing a leader, we must look for somebody based on his economic promise. What is he presenting as a solution to our problems today? And that cannot be the tribe of the person. That can only be the content of the person. That can only be the understanding of the economy and his proposed solutions to get the people of Kenya out of this economic malaise. So we must reject any attempt to turn us into tribe. And if you notice the intolerance coming, part of that intolerance is what led to the killings of Richard Otieno. And Richard Otieno had previously indicated and said those who have been harassing him. So those becomes persons of interest who need to shed light if they have anything to do with the killing of Richard Otieno. Richard did not just die. Richard was killed. He was killed for agitating for good governance. You've seen the unleashing of Mungiki, to whose benefit is Maina Njenga doing what he's doing. Who is the ultimate beneficiary? It's not Maina Njenga. And they think that Rigathi Gachagua is their problem. Rigathi Gachagua is the least of their problems, should be the least of their problems. Their problem are their failed economic policies, which the Kenyan people have seen through. So they can disrupt my Rigathi Gachagua's meetings as many times as they want. And they will still not get the people on their side. In fact, it's a very stupid, you can see through what they're trying to do. Previously, they used police, they used tear gas. Who has tear gas canisters in their custody? Every tear gas in this country can be traced to the manufacturer. They have numbers. They were dumping tear gas in my Rigathi Gachagua's meetings. You just take the canister and you can trace right from the manufacturer to the entire distribution chain. When it landed in the country, which flight it came by, which stores it was held in, from which store, to which police station was it taken to that police station. You can even find who signed out that canister. So it's traceable. So they've abandoned that to go and now hide behind Maina Njenga to try to disrupt the meetings of Gachagua. And while at it, Maina Njenga had declared support to the regime. But that is their fight. They are fighting a mirage. The problem of this nation is not Rigathi Gachagua. And it's not even a solution. If anything, Gachagua was their number one supporter, going early in the morning to the office at 5 a.m. when the Kenyan people are out on the streets agitating for economic liberation. So it's not their problem. Gachagua just joined a conversation that was already going on, even in the mountain and the rest of the country. The Kenyan people want a solution to their economic problems. And Kenya Kwanza and William Ruto will never offer that solution. They are actually now the face of the problem.
Talk to me about this new tactic that is being used by the government, because I think people have talked, beginning all the way from citizens, ordinary citizens, to religious groups, to human rights activists and all these other organizations, about the kind of approach that the government is actually trying to use right now. And we are looking at a situation whereby fear is being instilled in people at this point in time, because it's like when you see I even had the former deputy president lament about the introduction of Mungiki in that particular landing time. It's like fear is now the only way that the president wants.
But
not
that,
the president, maybe the government.
Okay, that is the template of every failing regime. I've told you this before on this platform.
Yes.
Every failing regime uses the same template. Bring opposition members, broad-based government, kill, they've killed, abduct, forcefully disappear, they've killed, they've forcefully disappeared, employ local militias, they have. But it is the template. And at the end of it all, the regime will collapse. Okay. So how many people will they kill? They'll kill all of us? Fine, do it. Then we'll see which country you left to lead. You will deploy Mungiki. You think Mungiki is going to now beat people in Mount Kenya to support the regime? They will not. They will not. Maina Njenga was used by Moi. He was also used by Uhuru partly. They are using him. But it's never won them any support. So, but a man must try. It will just advertise. In fact, when they do this, it's just advertising, reminding people how repressive the regime is. So continue on that path. It will not win anybody any support. The problems of Kenyans is the economy stupid. You don't address that economic problem, you are wasting your time. You are wasting Kenyans people's time. Because you are going anyway. It's just a matter of when, not if. because you are not dealing with the issue that the people expect you to deal with. And there's no hope in you. So will you get hope by bringing Mungiki? Will the economic situation of the Kenyan people improve because you've deployed Mungiki? It will not. So what has informed the agitation by the Kenyan people, it's still there. And more will agitate.
Okay.
You will not change the situation of the nation by deploying fear. Even Moi deployed fear to stop the Section 2A from being repealed. It was repealed. The more people you detain, the more people you kill, the more people will agitate. The more you advertise what kind of a regime you are. And the outcome is the same.
So this kind of tactic may not actually yield to the president, maybe to the government, if at all that is what they've decided to settle on at the end of the day. But I also want us to bring in the issue of cause here between the president right now and the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta spoke the other day, and he was like trying to encourage the young people to go ahead and fight for their rights and do not tire. Some information that has actually been understood differently by a certain section of people in this country. Others are saying he's inciting the young people. I wonder what you make of the same. But at the same time, as we wait on that, the president also spoke, and he said that the young people here need opportunities, and they do not actually need to be incited against the government. That's what Ruto
If Uhuru Kenyatta incited anybody, Court 1 Milimani is still there. Drag him to Court 1 and charge him for the offense. There's no offense Uhuru Kenyatta has committed. He simply said, Kenyan people, young people, please fight for your rights. Don't watch your country go to the dogs. Stand up and fight. Is that incitement? No. Anybody who is advocating for the rule of law and good governance cannot be said to be inciting. In fact, the people who are inciting the Kenyan people is Ruto and Kenya Kwanza. They are the number one inciters of the Kenyan people by plundering our economy, by mismanaging our economy, by sending our young people to economic abyss. That is the most insightful act that you can talk about. Not Uhuru Kenyatta speaking in somewhere in Central to tell the young people, please fight for good governance. That is the duty of every Kenyan. Article 3 of the Constitution. It is everybody's duty to defend and protect the Constitution. So if you are agitating for good governance, you are not doing anything illegal. Incitement can only be connected if you are saying we are mobilizing people or encouraging people to commit an illegality, to commit a criminal act. None of that was said. So it is their discomfort that you now have a big name telling Kenyans, urging Kenyans, encouraging Kenyans to continue agitating for good governance. That will be the lot of the Kenyan people. They will do it even without Uhuru Kenyatta. Even in spite of Uhuru Kenyatta, the Kenyan people will still do it. And it's the same Kenyan people who rejected Uhuru Kenyatta's governance when he decided to also start causing this economic pain. He's just joined the people where they are. He had attempted a handshake with Ruto. The results were overwhelming. People rejected him. In fact, he was told, don't stop at Uhuru Kenyatta's doorstep. Go look for Jomo Kenyatta. Go look for Dedan Kimathi. And we will still reject you, Kasongo. So Uhuru Kenyatta has just gone back to join the people.
Okay.
He is not the one leading anybody here. He is following the dictate of the people. And the dictate of the people is we want a country whose economy is working for all of us. Not a country that the economy only works for political leaders. These leaders have fleeced this country for far too long. We must break the chain of colonialism. We must break the chain of oppression, the chain of enslavement. They have enslaved us. They are living large using our taxpayers' money. You see them driving big cars and wearing designer outfits when Kenyans cannot afford healthcare services, basic healthcare services. Kenyans who have gone to school cannot get jobs commensurate with their qualifications. The economy, now you are guaranteed that you may sleep hungry tonight without eating, just because you know that you are fasting or that you are dieting, but because you cannot afford a basic meal every day. And there is no hope with this lot. This lot is to be taken out, all of them. This country will not change if this lot of leaders are still in office. We must remove all of them. We start afresh. Build a country that makes sense to all Kenyans. Make it make sense.
There are people who actually believe that the former president Uhuru Kenyatta has got no moral authority whatsoever to talk about people going outside there to fight for their rights, owing to the fact that, according to them, they see it as if the president himself was not in a position to accommodate dissent back then, and how, going by how he dealt with the same, maybe he starts to say he is doing the same thing.
That is what we call whataboutism. Uhuru is equally guilty. When he was in office, he engaged in repressive acts, and we must call him out for it. But the fact that he was culpable and he engaged in these repressive acts does not deny him an opportunity, or does not excuse the same acts being committed today. Both of them, as I've said, both of them belong to jail. Both of them owe the Kenyan people an explanation. But that does not take away his right, his political rights, his rights in the Constitution. And we should not buy this whataboutism. Don't try to gaslight us, sending us back to Uhuru Kenyatta. We are talking about today's. We deal with today's problems, then we will go to tomorrow, yesterday's problems as well. And we'll find Uhuru there. But for today, the one that is going on today, the killings that are taking place today, the abductions, the forced disappearances, the failed economic policies, those ones of today is what we are dealing with. Once we are done with dealing with these ones, we look back and deal with those who also caused forced disappearances, abductions and killings, those who took odious deaths in our names, and the money didn't come into Kenya. That is for yesterday. We'll deal with it also. But for today, we are dealing with what is served on the table. What is served on the table is forced disappearances, abductions, killings, a police state, failed economic policies. That is what we are dealing with today. Let's deal with it today. Once we deal with it and find a breather for the people of Kenya, then we'll go into historical injustices, including the economic malaise, the forced disappearances and abductions which were done when Uhuru was in office. We will deal with them. For good measure, Uhuru was serving with William Ruto as his deputy president. So it is right, their problem, both of them. And none of them can be isolated when we go to the past ones as well.
So even if we go to the past one, if at all the former president is guilty for whatever happened back then William Ruto too is also...
Is guilty for the past and the present. In fact, he has double guilt for the past atrocities and today's atrocities. Uhuru is guilty for the past atrocities, for which he should also be called to answer. And nothing has stopped William Ruto today from opening up inquiries to Uhuru Kenyatta. And if there are culpabilities, they should charge him. Charge him today. Why are they not charging him? So he's even guilty of aiding and abetting. They are aware of the atrocities that Uhuru Kenyatta committed, and they have taken no action about it. That is what we call aiding and abetting an offense. It doesn't make Uhuru Kenyatta any innocent. Neither does it make William Ruto to be a saint. He is still a sinner. And his administration is committing criminal acts against the people of Kenya.
You're talking about what the government is actually serving Kenyans, especially the young people here. And of course, you've talked about abductions and extrajudicial killings, all these things we are witnessing here. But the president in his response was like, these are our children. And let's do the right thing for them. These are the things that they need. They need opportunities and all that. Looking at the statement of the president at that time, do you really buy that perhaps going by what is actually happening, does the president understand really the problems of these people here and is in a position to actually help solve them instead of just talking?
He is trying to run away from the problems. The Kenyan people have not brought a difficult problem. The Kenyan people have brought a problem of economy and good governance. That's all they've put on the table. You don't need any talking to a young person to deal with that problem. You just need to come up with economic policies that address this challenge. You just need to stop abductions. You just need to respect the Constitution. That's all. So when he says that, oh, we need to talk to them about what? To ignore the Constitution. Because there's nothing that these Kenyan people are raising, that these our young people are raising, that is contrary to the Constitution. All they are demanding of is in the Constitution. So when you say you want to talk to them to do what? So that we suspend the Constitution, so that we live outside the Constitution. Just live by the Constitutional dictates. That's all. There's no need of talking to anybody. And nobody wants to talk to anybody, by the way. People are impatient. They have tried convening meetings here, even ex-spaces. They've tried reaching out to the people they thought were the ones leading these young people. Stephen Kasmuel was there with them. Has it stopped the agitation? Because there's nothing to discuss here. It is all about good governance and economic policies that work for the people. That's all. You don't need a meeting to discuss that. You're in office. Implement. And you'll just see the Kenyan people will change their perception about you.
Is it not strange that the president actually understands the problem of these young people, but then goes ahead and serves them something totally different?
Because he's incapable. He's incapable of dealing with the problem. And the problem, as exemplified by us in Safina Party, is debt. Odious debt that they took in your names. This year alone, the Kenyan government is paying 1.9 trillion shillings in debt finance. Their collection will be around 2.4 trillion. So it means they are only going to be left with 500 billion to run government, to pay salaries. Salaries alone is 500 billion. Salaries alone is 500 billion. There is no money for operations. There is no money for development. That is why you see all these roads that are collapsing and nothing is being done on them. Which is that one project that William Ruto is doing. Kibaki had his free primary education. Moi had his Nyamaziwa Nyayo. Kibaki had his free primary education. Uhuru had his Chuchu train, SGR. Which one is his? He can't. He can't.
Maybe.
And they're taking debts illegally.
Maybe he'll tell you about Hustler Fund. That is only.
But Hustler Fund, even them, they are running away from it.
And
What life has Hustler Fund changed? Ask any Kenyan on the street. Ask anybody who is next to you. What they know about Hustler Fund. And if they know anybody whose life has changed because of Hustler Fund. Is none. It's none. There's nothing.
What about the so he calls a housing project as his pet project?
To begin with, the
that
housing project, the housing levy
remembered with.
was a Uhuru Kenyatta project to begin with. They don't started it. But what has it done? Pick Homa Bay. They are building 600 housing units. The people of Homa Bay are 600,000. What is 600,000 units in a population of 500,000? That's pittance. Kirinyaga, they are building 300 units. A population of almost 450,000. In fact, more than that. The registered voters are around that number. That is pittance. Whose life will those affordable housing units change? And those coast houses are more expensive than all the private sector is offering. People have built their houses on using their own money, on their own land. A far much cheaper. So that's a failure. That itself has failed. What is it doing? And there's nothing he can do. And that's what Kenyans are complaining about. If he had a stimulus project like Kibaki had his free primary education, everybody felt the impact. Because you find in every household, there was a child who goes to school. The burden of paying for the school fees to that child was taken away from the parent. So the money, the parent had surplus income. What he could have used to pay school fees, he was now using it for consumption. People felt the impact immediately. The social component, you had an empowered population. The economic component, you had a stimulus program, people have money in their pockets. Which one is his? None. He can't even conceptualize the role of government in stimulating the economy and engaging in social development as well, at the same time. It can't.
Okay.
So you're wasting time when you ask him of these questions. That's why he can't respond to what the Kenyan people are raising as the problem of the nation.
Okay. Wakili, as we conclude this particular show, you remember back then with his visit to Ishaweri and of course the subsequent nomination of a few of allies of the former President Uhuru Kenyatta into cabinet, we assume that perhaps there was some sort of a working relationship between the former president and the current president. But then going by now, there isn't a statement. It's like that's not the case. And also you look at now the former president talking, and then a few leaders also from even the Orange Party, the likes of Edwin Sifuna, who actually come out and they're saying they're not going to sit back and witness all these things that are taking place in the name of supporting or working with the government. What then does this show you? Are we looking at some sort of a shift from what has been witnessed before?
No, it's the reality that is dawning on everybody. The reality is dawning on everybody that joining William Ruto is just going to bed with a skunk. The skunk of this regime is what you're taking. There is no benefit you're going to get in joining William Ruto. And Uhuru Kenyatta must be responding to the mood on the ground.
Okay.
The ODM leaders who are speaking that they can't join this government, they are responding to the mood on the ground. Because everybody is feeling the pain. Why do you want to go and take ownership of a sinking ship? Why do you want to be part of a system that has repressed Kenyans? So you ask yourself, Is that why I'm in politics? Is that why I'm in existence? So that I can take blame for things that I'm not even part of. So that is a done deal. ODM members who want to join the administration, they can do so. But there'll be consequences, and everybody must be ready to live with these consequences. So you go and take the skunk of William Ruto, go and live with it. But he has taken the skunk. He's living with its consequences. And there are more to come. Sifuna has seen the light that me, I'll speak the issues of Mwananchi. There'll be consequences for him. And the Kenyan people will decide to separate the wheat from the chaff. Who truly stands for the people of Kenya? And who is against us? Because the red line has been drawn. Those for and against the people of Kenya. And everybody will be invited to take their side. And then once you take your side, consequences will follow. Okay. That is why you see some people are saying, I'm better off on the side of the people. They believe that's where Uhuru Kenyatta's mind will be. That is where the Sifuna and his group will be. That on the questions, and Orengo put it very well, my conscience must be very clear. I cannot keep quiet. And we don't have a public record of me condemning these abductions. This is not what we fought for. This is not the Kenya that we want to live for our children and their grandchildren. So he says, no, me, I'm choosing the side of the people. I will speak issues of good governance. I'll speak issues of accountability on the national question. So we've all taken our sides. So we must all be ready to live with our consequences, including William Ruto and his administration.
Seems like all of us want a change here, and it's like all eyes are focused on 2027. Do you believe that, going by how the president has so far handled some of these things here, that it could mean that maybe the young people and of course the Gen Zs and all these other generations who are so much active online are a threat to his presidential ambitions? That is for
his presidential ambition has come to an end. There's no ambition anymore. It's just a matter of finishing the term. Maliza uende. If at all you will get there. Yeah. About being elected, that is a dream. It's impossible. It cannot happen, even in a dream. I don't even think there's any Kenyan who has dreamed that Ruto was re-elected. He cannot be re-elected. It's just a matter of trying to hold court until the end of his term.
He says you didn't even believe that he would serve a first term, but here he is.
I didn't say that.
No, he says that Kenyans didn't believe, there are people who didn't believe that.
But he was voted for by people. Yeah. It's the same people who voted for him who are leading the onslaught against him. So where will he get new votes from? The number one opposition to William Ruto are not the opposition of Raila Odinga. It is the people who voted for him are the ones leading the onslaught against him. So where will he get new votes from? Yeah. So that's a done deal.
Okay.
A second time is, you're even wasting time discussing it. That's a waste of time. He's done.
And you're in with Jimmy Wanjigi.
It shall be.
Okay. Well, we've been having this conversation with the Deputy President designate, as he commonly refers to himself, Wakili Willis Otieno here. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly weigh in and tell us what you think about what we've just discussed here. Allow me to stop this conversation at this point till we have it again. Have yourself a lovely day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this family. My name is Evans Okini.